Harris did. We also see where she's doing vis-a-vis the
58, man.
benchmark.
Only
She's
39 right there.
That's right.
Trump is 58.
That's right, which is the most Republican of the county. So she's got to like these numbers. You're losing by 45,000 votes. That's never good, but it's better.
Fake
better
news
than,
right there.
than the opposite.
ABC.
Just look at this. This is a 1,000-vote race in Wisconsin. Wisconsin, you do this to us every time. You're doing it to us again tonight. Between these two candidates, a very close race. Let's look at some of the other counties surrounding Milwaukee.
Yeah, Ozaki is another big one, and we're seeing her just a smidge beyond where she would need to be to make this to make this a 50-50 race. Washington County, she's a little bit below that. Milwaukee, we know that there's a lot of the vote that probably isn't going to be accounted for a while. They had to rerun a bunch of the ballots. An 84,000 vote edge here, more than making up for it. We're also been looking at Madison. That's a liberal stronghold. But functionally speaking, she's not going to get as many votes here, in all likelihood, as even though she's getting close to the benchmark, she's not going to get as many votes here as Joe Biden did, both in terms of the margin as well as the total number of votes. You have to just kind of rack it up in Dane County, and Madison, and Milwaukee if you're going to win as a Democrat in Wisconsin.
You're talking about the University of Wisconsin right here, obviously.
That's right.
I'm just curious because we haven't talked about this yet tonight. I mean, obviously, it's a blue county, right? Let's just look at the benchmark where Donald Trump needs to be. Yes,
Man, Trump is
outperforming
winning.
Slightly, but that matters on both sides here as they rack up the vote. I'm curious, in university towns, I wonder when we look back, the young male vote from some of these university
Trump is
towns,
winning.
that was a huge part of the Trump campaign. I don't know if that's going to bear out, but that might be part of the equation in some of these university centers on why she might be just underperforming slightly from where she would need to be having a winning night here. Obviously, she's ahead by 1,800 votes. Very close race in Wisconsin. But these are the tiny little margins we're going to be looking at.
And we're seeing that in so many different places, David, too. We're just seeing places where Donald Trump is doing better than his 538 benchmark. Sometimes it's not as dramatic as this is. If you look at the final votes here, Harris isn't even close to where she was last time in Green Bay. A bunch of places where you're just not seeing the Harris numbers and you are seeing the Trump numbers. It's very striking. There's a similar storyline that's playing out throughout Pennsylvania tonight. Again, we're waiting on a lot of vote. We're waiting on all of these Democratic places. It's all there. But it isn't too early to say, look at a county like Schuylkill, where the 538 benchmark would have Harris needing to get 28, 29 points. Not there, not even close. In some of these counties, they're not that big, but they've got most of the vote in already. And you're seeing Donald Trump tick up a little bit from his margins last time around. And that adds up over time, even if these aren't big places.
No question. Let's look at Allegheny County.
Yeah, Allegheny County, Harris is hitting her number almost exactly, but again, it's not right now enough to kind of outweigh what's happening elsewhere in the state.
The Erie County, which was obviously one of these boomerang counties.
Yeah,
she appears to be holding on.
She appears to be holding on. We have a lot of votes still outstanding.
Benchmark is here.
Yeah, she's doing well beyond it, but there's so much vote outstanding, and it's hard to say what it is. Scranton is another great one to look at. Kamala Harris is not quite where 538 would suggest she needs to be, not quite where Joe Biden was, a little bit better than Hillary Clinton. Meanwhile, Trump, look at the other side of that. Trump is doing better than he did either time that he ran in Lackawanna County.
So 123,000 votes separates the two of them. Donald Trump in the lead in Pennsylvania right now. Michigan, what are we looking at?
Yeah, in Michigan,
Trump is leading Pennsylvania.
A lead right now for Harris of almost exactly the same, and we have a lot of the urban areas in the state still to go. I mean, start with Washtenaw County, Ann Arbor. You talk about your college towns. Here's an interesting one where Trump is doing a little bit better again than the benchmark. So that might play out that theory. Lansing, there isn't a lot of vote there, but so far we're seeing a little bit better than the benchmark would suggest in a place that will be pretty liberal at the end of the night. And of course, we're going to be really dialed into Wayne County. That is Detroit. It's also Dearborn, where there's a very large Arab American population that's been critical of Kamala Harris and the Joe Biden Israel policy. Not a lot of vote there to learn much about it yet.
And what's the benchmark? How is she doing compared to where she needs to be?
She's doing far better, but there's so little vote in there.
Right,
and I believe it's the early in-person vote, which happened for the first time in Michigan this time.
We're looking at margins of 100,000 votes in Michigan, 100,000 votes in Pennsylvania separates them, and 1,500 votes in Wisconsin?
That's right there. It's 5,000 votes.
Yeah.
It's less than 5,000 votes in Wisconsin. And again, that is the only path she has left if North Carolina and Georgia don't go her way. And we've had some significant news in North Carolina. We were talking earlier about that big vote that was out in Charlotte. Well, we got a lot of that vote now. It's 90% reporting. Kamala Harris did very well. She picked up 170,000 votes out of Charlotte, but she's still losing by 130,000. And those big blue dots are getting smaller. less and less of that outstanding vote there for her to make up significant margin. And that 135,000 is significant when you're already in a state that has got 84% reporting.
Yeah. All right. Well, North Carolina, it's narrowing the chances in North Carolina, which really then looks like the Rust Belt would be the only path. Virginia's been interesting to me. How close is this race still?
Yeah, we're seeing Harris begin to open up a little bit more of a lead. But again, this shouldn't be close. That's I think what really going to be the story of Virginia, is that there really wasn't a world where this should have been close. And you look at some places where Kamala Harris is running significantly below Joe Biden. Loudoun County, which is the suburbs of Washington D.C., which makes it a bluer state. You know, Trump's not getting to his benchmark, which means he's not going to win the state, but he's running significantly better than he did the other times that he ran. And that, to me, is just that is almost across the board storyline tonight. That places where, whether it's blue or red, Donald Trump has beaten his number by a little bit.
Not only beat his number from last time, but beat his number when he ran against Hillary Clinton in 2016. He's outperforming in some of these counties. Let's head up to Rhode Island, New Hampshire, some of these other states that typically we would call earlier in the night.
Yeah, Rhode Island is projected now, but it was closer than it should have been by all rights. And you see some more working class parts of the state tending to do a little bit better. You know, even in the capital of Providence, Kamala Harris not quite Joe Biden's numbers. You start to see that kind of erosion, that slippage. It doesn't really matter where it is. Yeah, New Hampshire, we haven't had a projection yet. We're talking about a 20,000 vote margin in a state that gets a lot of political attention. A lot of the Democratic votes are here in the southern part. We have to wait to see if we get more, about half of it in so far. But the earlier point still holds, that places where Democrats should get a projection pretty early, Connecticut and New Jersey. New Jersey, still win New Jersey, but the fact that we even mention it on air in an election night, Connecticut on air, 24,000 vote margin, tells you that there's something that she hasn't really been able to bring out her base in places that don't get a lot of attention at the presidential level.
The Democratic base, and it's a question of what kind of coalition, if she's able to pull this off, did she put together in order to pull it off? And if not, the questions will be why wasn't she able to pull it off? Show us in each one of these three blue wall states the map that shows us the outstanding vote, the percentage of the vote.
Sure. Start here in Pennsylvania, again, down 120,000 votes. That's Philadelphia and the eastern suburbs. A little bit in Pittsburgh. Places like